The 1st of January this year marks the final assault on private motorists. For those of you who don't know, at the beginning of this year, there was the introduction of the zero emission vehicle mandate target. And as from the 1st of January, manufacturers must sell a certain percentage of vehicles that are electric. The figure for this year is 22%. And what that means is that manufacturers have to sell 22% electric vehicles, leaving 78% to be internal combustion engine vehicles. And if they exceed the 78%, they have to pay a levy of £15,000 per vehicle over and above that target. This has been presented by some of the media who support this madness as an opportunity where manufacturers will slash the costs of electric vehicles, making them more accessible to everyday motorists. But on the contrary, I actually believe that what will happen is that internal combustion engine vehicles will become more expensive as there are less of them to sell, and especially when we approach the end of the year and the manufacturers are approaching their quota of internal combustion engine vehicles, they will screw people to get as much as they can for them, because there will be more people wanting to buy them than there will be available vehicles. But this is just the start of it. It's 22% this year, and next year it becomes 28%. In 2026 it rises to 33%, in 27 to 38%, in 28 to 52%, in 2029 to 66%, and in 2030 it rises to 8%, where it will remain for a further 5 years until 2035, when it will move up to 100%. Despite the narrative, I believe that electric vehicles will be impractical for so many people in this country, both for financial reasons and for logistical reasons. I don't know what people who live in apartments are supposed to do. I don't know what people who live in terrace streets are supposed to do. And I don't know what people who live in great swathes of the country where there isn't a charging point for miles around, or people who maybe get home late at night, don't have a charging point, and for some reason need to leave 2 or 3 or 4 hours later and their vehicle just doesn't have time to charge. I think that really this is not about emissions. This is not about the climate. This is about pushing the average motorist off the road and making private transport inaccessible to most everyday people. Just in the same way as ULEZ was expanded within the entire M25 area last August, this pushed so many motorists off the road, and it was the poorest motorists who suffered the most, simply because they could not afford to buy a newer car. And yet somebody who can afford to buy a brand new Range Rover or a brand new Rolls Royce can drive around London and pollute as much as they like. If this really were about emissions, if this liar who has somehow ended up as the Mayor of London were speaking the truth, was intending to reduce emissions, then what he would have done, he would have set a 5 or 10 year target of reducing emissions across all vehicles, whether you pay or not. Nobody would have objected to that. Nobody would have objected to a mandate stating that vehicles emitting over 300 grams would be banned from next year, and that would reduce by 50 grams every year over the next 5 or 10 years, because it would be fair. There would be a long-term plan. Most of the vehicles would go through natural wastage, and it would actually be something that is implemented across the board. But as it stands now, if you can pay, you are free to pollute as much as you wish. And the way that we're going, it's going to be, if you can afford it, you will be able to drive. Otherwise, if you cannot afford the cost that we will be facing for our motoring over the next few years, then you will literally be a prisoner in your own home. That's my opinion, and I think that this is yet another assault on our civil liberties. I'd love to know what you think about this. Agree, disagree, I'm always happy to hear your opinions. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now, and I'll see you next time.